not an option. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Town of Waukesha. Thursday, February 13th, 2014 at 6:30. I'm going to call the meeting of the Plan Commission to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll begin with the roll call.
Chairman John Merrick.
Present.
Supervisor 1, Joe Jansky.
Here.
Supervisor 2, Larry Wolf. Oh, I'm sorry, Bruce Beckmans. Planner Jamie Labarchuk.
Here.
Chris Janelli from Luther Milky.
I am here.
Bob Flanagan.
Here.
Bob Stigler.
Here.
Ellen White.
Here.
Dan
Here.
Attorneys.
And also Chairman John Merrick is present, and Supervisor Fisher. Here. I should go backwards in time and introduce our new clerk treasurer, Jeannie O'Brien. I apologize for skipping you. She started with us this last week Monday, and has this is her 4th day with us, and so maybe a little bit.
This comes out to me, so bear with me.
We'll get the procedure down.
Okay.
So thank you. Thank you. Madam Clerk, has the town complied with the open meetings laws?
Yes.
The agenda was posted and distributed to all news media requesting notification in accordance with the open meetings laws on February 7th, 2014. And we'll begin with citizens' comments. Anybody? Going once?
Sandy Hom, West 230, South 3827, Milky Way Road. It's in the town, 531. In reviewing the application tonight, or the agenda item for the 5 Diamond stuff, I started to look back at it and got confused and went over it. I see that back in, was it July, June, the Plan Commission, Supervisor Fisher, voted to table the site plan, the master land use, to July 11th, and on the next item, moved to table to July 11th for the joint meeting for the conditional annual review. And yet, when I went to look at the July 11th meeting, those items don't appear on the agenda. So I looked at the new site plan of operations, site plan, I guess it is, that came now from Mr. Labarchuk. And I'm confused how the items that are on there got there. They don't represent the items that were in the conditional use. Items like no alcohol are missing. So I don't know how you're ready to proceed with what you've got in front of you, but thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing nobody, we'll move on to number 5, meeting minutes from January 9th, 2014, public hearing number 1, and the minutes from January 9th. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Second. Chief Dan. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to 6, discussion and possible action on a certified survey map. This is for Edward Mosnica and Dion Kahn for the site that used to be the Dorothy Steingraber site. Planner Labarchuk.
I think I'll turn it over to So comments on it. You should have received in your packet a letter from Mr. Mosnicka stating that he's still working with the new property owner in the transfer of the land that he wanted to buy. The new property owner, I believe, is he vacations elsewhere for the winter months. So he's looking for another 60-day extension to allow him to work with the new property owner. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
And Chief Buchholz?
And just for the new clerk permission, let's clarify that you accept the petitioner's request for the extension and table it. Let's table it till the next meeting just so we keep a handle on it, you know, because it might be that if I do 2 months, it could be 61 days and then we've gone too long. So I think we just do the 30 days and does that help?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, discussion and possible action on a preliminary certified survey map for the Hazel Danner Revocable Trust. This has been extended a number of times, and at this point, the petitioner is not able to get the required elevations that they needed from the county regarding the new location of the bypass. And we're at a point now where we really need to end up denying this. I've talked to the petitioner, and he understands that, and we'll bring it back at such time as he gets all of the required information. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to number 8, discussion and possible action on the extension of Gutner Drive in a conceptual CSM. The owner is Kevin Shimalewski, and Engineer Janelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, in
First,
your,
the record should reflect that Commissioner Buchholz has removed himself from the room because of a potential conflict. At my recommendation, just so you know, he's not leaving at his own accord necessarily. I recommended, the Ethics Committee recommends if you have could have a personal dealings with this, that at the very minimum you have to leave the table, and it's recommended that you leave the room so that there's no, unless you have to be here for some reason. He accepted that and has removed himself from the room for that reason.
Thank you, Attorney Mason.
yes, in my packet, there are 2 attachments. One is the CSM 10623, which I'll refer to shortly. And the last page of that attachment is a color aerial photograph prepared by Mr. Shimalewski to kind of depict his concept plan for development of the property. And I'll just kind of read through my letter just because that's easy and we don't forget anything. Enclosed is that concept plan and for the extension of Gritner Drive. Mr. Shimalewski has purchased Lot 1 of CSM 10623 for the purposes of developing the property and constructing a single-family home. It is our understanding that he is not anticipating further development of Lot 1 other than a single-family home, and as a result, he's looking for conceptual approval of the extension of Gritner Drive by way of building a cul-de-sac. It's important to point out the note on page 2 of the CSM, which I'll read now. It refers to the 66-foot wide ingress and egress easement note. When the owner of either Lot 1 or Lot 2 decides to develop their property, that owner will be responsible for the cost to design and construct the public road from Gritner Drive to Cartwright Circle. Prior to the road construction, the owner of Lot 1 is required to dedicate the 66-foot wide easement to the town of Waukesha for public road purposes, only with town board approval. So in general, that states that the development of the lot requires the connection of the roads. It's our understanding that Mr. Shimalewski purchased the property, understanding that the town may require the roads to be connected. As you can see on the concept plan, it shows the removal of a temporary cul-de-sac at the end of Gritner. It includes a new full cul-de-sac to serve a single-family home. The extension of the cul-de-sac will, by default, basically create a second lot to the south of the extension. So the town has two viable options here. Basically, one, require the road connection, or two, approve of the concept plan and the cul-de-sac as depicted on the attached concept plan. Should the town approve the extension of the construction of the cul-de-sac as depicted, we recommend that these following conditions apply. That Mr. Chmielewski enter into a developer's agreement, including a letter of credit for the public improvements, that he prepare construction plans and specifications for the road extension, and that those plans and specs shall be prepared to town standard. We recommend that he approach Waukesha County to discuss stormwater management requirements. We recommend that the extension of Gritner Drive follow the road right-of-way as laid out on CSM 10623 and be extended to the point so that the proposed right-of-way intersects with the lot line of Lot 1 and Lot 2. And the CSM be prepared for the town to review and approve to create the new lots and dedicate the proper right-of-way for the cul-de-sac. Sixth, that the 66-foot wide easement area on Lot 1, which will remain and not be dedicated as right-of-way, be vacated and transferred back to Lot 2, CSM 10623. And that a master plan illustrating a future road layout and how all the lots and the development on both lots will occur in the future be submitted to the town for future reference. I guess to kind of clarify a little bit, many of you may know that Mr. Buchholz is the owner of Lot 1, and in talking with him, Lot 2, yep, sorry, thank you. And speaking with him, his preference is to not have the road constructed completely. Mr. Chmielewski is also in favor of not building the entire road for obvious reasons. I think both property owners want to kind of minimize the development, at least at this stage. And in my opinion, not building the road entirely may be a permanent fixture for the town. So, on one hand, we kind of want to have the road looped, but on the other hand, at this stage, it's good for both property owners. It makes it fair, actually, for Mr. Buchholz, because he'll have to ultimately pay for additional improvements, if and when he decides to develop. So, I guess that's my report.
Is Mr. Chmielewski here this evening? Yeah. The conceptual CSM, that's not your work product, Engineer Janelli? That's something that's been around for a while?
This, the concept plan or the CSM?
Yes.
Yeah, this was, Kevin submitted this just as a concept to show the town what he's contemplating.
The road, however, that's been, the plan of that road has been around for a while?
Yes.
Is the petitioner looking, Mr. Chmielewski, are you looking for approval of your concept this evening? Is that what's before us, Engineer Janelli?
Yeah, either approval or denial. You basically have to decide which you prefer. If you're willing to kind of kick the can down the road, so to speak, and allow the cul-de-sac to be built, or if you just want to have the road connected.
Well, my first question is, what does the owner want to do?
Come on, yes, please. And your name and address for the clerk, please.
My name is Kevin Chmielewski, and I own Lot 1 of Gritner Drive. What I prefer to do is to minimize the damage to the actual property by putting a road through it and just extend the cul-de-sac to put a single-family home. and continue to have that land farmed, other than the small area for my house. So I guess I would prefer to just extend the cul-de-sac and keep it as natural as I can. I kind of moved out to the country, I want to move out to the country to enjoy it and not have a road go right through a nice field.
Well, then my next question is to the engineer, if at some time in the future he would want to put that road through, he still can he?
Under this proposal, no, he won't own it.
Right.
We're recommending that it be transferred to Mr. Buchholz, and then Mr. Buchholz would have the obligation to build it. This property owner, unless he got some kind of easement or something, wouldn't have the availability to put it through.
Okay, I got a question on that. If that's the case, what would be the advantage to him to put the road in? I mean, if he's, Dan's gonna benefit someday if he puts the road in, obviously, because he's gonna have more frontage, more lots to develop.
You mean the whole road or the
Yeah,
cul-de-sac?
The whole road.
There is no benefit. We're just following the note that you put on here.
I wasn't there then.
Oh, I'm at the plan commission I meant
I understand.
The plan commission put the note on, and he bought it knowing the note was on, and knowing that he would, if he was going to build a house or do any kind of development, he would have to build the road. He's coming in and asking for technically coming in and asking modification of the note. And as a compromise, he said he would build the cul-de-sac. We can't decide the actual dimension and location. We know the location, but we don't know the length of the cul-de-sac till we see the layout of the 6 lots on the south and the 4 lots up above. Because if he's putting all 4 of them in as a cluster, potentially in the future, he's not gonna do that now. He's just doing 1 lot. Well, he's doing 2, because by default, he has another lot when this is built. And so he's just asking for you to make a modification of the condition.
Well, he's the owner, he ought to get what he wants. He's not damaging us in any way.
Well, he theoretically is, because you want that road to be developed someday. And whenever you allow a lot to be created and not the road to be built, you have 1 less person who can pay for that road. And what happens is if you chip away at this too far, then they say, well, we can't afford to build the road because everybody's already got their lots and their homes, we don't have enough people. So this was the fair compromise. He was gonna put in a portion of it, get his 2 lots, potentially 4 lots, and not have to build any more road. And then Mr. Buchholz would have to build the road when he did his lots. That was the compromise. That's what he's proposing, and the staff is saying that it's a policy decision for you to decide.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Ultimately, yes, you could put 4 lots according to the land survey that's there, but after doing soil testing, I don't think there could be any county-approved septic system for other areas to the east on the lot. So ultimately, you could carve out spaces for lots. I don't think that there could be septic allowed to actually put housing on it.
Mr. Dinelli, do you have any input on that?
No, I think a lot of the land is wet, so I mean, you know, I don't know if a mound system would work or not. And I haven't seen the soil test. I think groundwater is very high in the area. The field's traditionally wet, so, yeah, I don't doubt what he's saying.
Okay. Commissioner White?
I know that we talked about this way in the past, and when it was getting developed or split into 2 different lots, to try to help me out on this. Your 66-foot easement is 100% on your property right now, lot 1, correct? Correct. Get that straight. And my question is, I know they did sample testings of your land, and do we have any facts stating that there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lots available on lot 1 at all now?
No.
Or are we just guessing how many are on there right now?
Actually, the CSM does, I think at the time the CSM was created, there was some calculation done in order to, you know, actually create the split and make it fair for both parties, I guess. And I think, if you look at the 3rd page of the CSM, sheet 3 of 7, kind kind of right above Mr. Stigler's seal, there is a residential PUD calculations, which kind of spell out that 4 lots are gonna be, you know, maximum of 4 lots would be on lot 1, and a maximum of 6 could be on lot 2. So that's where our assumption.
And that was a great job by your plan commission and your town board to make that determination. Many communities forget to do that, so you have to be complimented for making that decision. There was a determination made that the density under the current rules would be 10 lots. And then they went one step further and they decided how those 10 lots were gonna be divided up. And that clearly sets value by making that determination. Now, whether he can get 4 or not is to be determined, and, you know, but he has the right to, at some point, if he can find 4 spots and, you know, to put 4 lots there. He's not asking for that now, he's asking for 1, but by default, he's gonna get 2. I mean, you know you can sell that land, they told you that you could sell that off. You will get a separate tax key number for the land south of the cul-de-sac. Yeah, it's just by default, it has to be, you can't have the lots on 2 sides of the road. So you will have 2 lots on his.
He's still the owner of the land and he wants to build his house on a cul-de-sac, and what we're talking about is extending this thing about what, 40 or 50, 60 feet here?
I think it ends up being,
Maybe 85?
yeah,
Yeah,
need it all the way across that.
okay, but I just don't see why everything that's gonna happen in the future is the future.
I think I would tend to agree with Commissioner Flanagan. If I chose to buy up an entire subdivision and build only 1 home on 20 lots, that's my choice.
your
It
prerogative.
would be my property and my prerogative.
Two questions, if I could, just for understanding, and maybe this is already covered, go back through it. If we look at the drawing that John Stigler put back together back in 2008, what was shown then to be a proposed or future 66-foot right-of-way, that right-of-way that he showed on there for the connection would lie where with regard to how the land is being parceled up? That's maybe an inartful question, but either for you or Mr. Ginelli.
It would go on the property line and then 66 feet towards my property. So the whole 66 feet would be on lot 1, along the property line.
Is that your understanding, Mr. Ginelli?
And maybe Mr. Fisher could rephrase his question, because I'm not quite sure.
Well, here, I guess the question is this: if you look at the drawing that John Stigler put together, okay, back in September or October of 2008,
Yep.
he showed a proposal for extending the 66-foot right-of-way to connect the 2 straits. And all I'm asking is, as we see this now, the land division here, where is that? Where's the property line relative to that 66-foot right-of-way that he showed on his drawing?
Look at page 3 of the certified
Makes sense.
survey map, 3 of 7.
Okay,
That's how the land was divided and is currently divided. Lot 1 and Lot 2 exist. It doesn't show the road, the easement on it, or the potential road, but it shows who owns what.
I understand that, but my question is, where is the road that he laid out relative to that, or do we know?
Oh, okay. And maybe it's easier for me to come over and show you.
Okay.
This concept plan, red, the road's gonna go through here, that's the 66.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go for this.
But I'm saying relative to this, where is the road relative to that line?
That line is the southern boundary of the 66.
Okay, very good, so it's all on lot 1?
Correct.
Okay, thanks. And I guess I only have one other question. I realize this is just diagrammatic, but I don't have any problem at all with the proposed concept, but on the aerial overview there type of thing, was that suggesting that the driveway would be taken off ahead of the cul-de-sac? I realize that's just a concept thing, but would we expect that to come off the cul-de-sac?
It could be either. I guess it largely might depend on the type of house he wants to build. If his garage is on the west side or the east side.
Okay, thank you.
got one more question. I guess if we do decide to favorably give you the cul-de-sac, honestly, engineer on this, how does it, right now, the 66 easement is on Shuminski's property.
Yeah.
Now, if we put the cul-de-sac in, did they have something in writing saying if this road never went in, that property would change from going back to lot 1 instead of lot 2? How did that get in play in this?
I guess the theory behind having him basically give that easement back to lot 2 is that he's not going to develop any further. So, since he's not going to develop any further, we're basically taking that ability for him away and allowing Mr. Buchholz to finish it. Because that's kind of the understanding that everybody's going under if we allow this concept.
Question on that then, so that means if they goes back to Dan's property, that he will never be able to divide his property up anymore and use those 4 lots?
This gentleman?
Yes.
No, the concept is
Well, you
that,
said that-
Dan,
Yes.
Dan can't divide the 4 or the 6?
No. Shuminski here, that he would, because he's
So-
asking, he was saying that he wouldn't be able to divide his lot up any more than he is right now?
Well, he wouldn't be able to extend the road.
Right.
Presumably, he could get another lot to the south of the cul-de-sac, that would be on his property. And the third lot presumably is up by County Highway I. And arguably a 4th lot probably can't even exist. And if it could, and we were so inclined, we could allow that to be coming off of the cul-de-sac potentially to the east. The idea being that if we do get 10 lots out of this piece of property, and Mr. Shimelski, if I'm pronouncing that right, I apologize, that if he can have 4, he's basically building a 4th of the improvements, or 40% of the improvements.
the design, Mr. Supervisor Fisher asked how far, and when you commented how long the cul-de-sac. The design of the cul-de-sac would be directly applied to the design that comes in of where the 3 lots might lie down there. So that he would get access to his 3 lots if he were of a mind to ever do it, or and they wanted to do 3 lots. We understand there's the potentiality of 1 to the south, 2 to the north, and 1 up on the other road. So whatever the design of this cul-de-sac is, has to have enough circumference and enough area on the parcel for 2 potential lots down there. We know you're not planning on doing that now, but that's why there's a condition in there about the layout of where the 4 might be, because that will drive how long the cul-de-sac needs to be.
So the bottom line is, if he puts the cul-de-sac in with a large enough radius today, and leaves it as such, he can still divide his property, okay? That's what I'm in favor of. Why are we betting on the future? We got 2 guys here that can plan their own future. Let them come in and come to us 5 or 8 or 10 years down the road. Why are we making them dance to that tune now?
Because somebody, apparently not you, said, we want this road in here someday, and your staff is trying to make sure that that remains a potentiality. Does that make sense? I mean, if you didn't want the road, we wouldn't be going through anything.
I'm not trying to argue with you, but if we want to put the road in at some point in time, the 2 owners get together and they can put the road in.
If they get along.
Well, that's where the ifs, if they want to do this and if they want to do it. The fact of the matter is, he's here today, they get approval to build a house on land he owns, and I don't see why we're making his life so difficult. Make a bigger circumference on the cul-de-sac, and you got the deal done for now.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I will, just we move ahead, I will move that we recommend to the town board the acceptance in concept of the construction of the cul-de-sac without the connection of the road. I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.